I obviously have a lot of books. I talk about my TBR in many videos. The number of books I have on my TBR is in the hundreds. While I actually love having a huge TBR, I love having a huge selection of books to read from. Looking at these books makes me very happy. I am running into the problem where I can't read the books fast enough. So let me explain what I mean by that. I often have books sat on my shelves for years before I manage to pick them up. And I buy them in the moment. I'm really into the subject matter, the genre, the concept, the idea of reading them, and then I just leave them to sort of lounge there on my shelf. And that's a problem because when I do finally get to them, I am not exactly lacking interest, but I'm not as enthusiastic as I was when I first purchased them. And this is a constant problem because I constantly have new books coming in that I'm really excited for. I buy 10 and I read like 2 of them, and then I shelve the rest, and then I don't get to them for ages. And so in order to try to mitigate this problem, I have decided to start a new vlog series on my channel. This has kind of been in the works for over a year now, and I keep scrapping various vlogs because I'm just not happy with the way that they have turned out. But we're back, and if you are seeing this, this means that this series is a go. Let me quickly explain what this series is. So, I don't know if any of you remember the old reading challenge called Ribsat, which was Read Your Bookshelf-a-thon. It was a readathon on Booktube. I don't know if it was on book blogs as well back in the day. But essentially what you did was you would pick a place on your shelf and you would read from there. So you would pick a book, one book from your shelf, and you would read the books on that shelf in order, the order in which they appear. And so I wanted to turn that into a reading vlog series because first of all, I miss Ribsat. I've spoken about this a few times now. I was talking to someone about a year ago about how much fun we had with that readathon because you never knew what you were going to get if you picked randomly, or you would be forced to read books that you had just kind of left lounging there for months, years. You'd kind of looked at but you'd forgotten about, the ones that you would never really reach for. And so I thought that would be a really good way to get through my TBR, not necessarily to reduce the number, but to force myself to pick up books that I do just like looking at and I don't seem to reach for. I don't know what to call this series, so if you have any ideas, leave them in the comments below. But what I'm going to be doing is I will be using a random number generator to pick one of my shelves, one of my TBR shelves obviously, because the whole point is reading new books. I'll click it once to pick the shelf and I'll click it again to choose the book on that shelf, and then I will decide whether I want to go forwards on the shelf or backwards on the shelf. I don't really have loads of rules for this challenge. I'm probably going to add rules as I go along once I figure out what's working for me. The only rule I have so far is that once I pick a direction, I cannot change, I cannot go backwards. So for example, with this shelf here, if I picked this book, I can either go in this direction and read those books or in that direction and read those books. There's no sort of crossing, switching around on the shelf, and I have to stay on that shelf. Eventually I might introduce like challenges or rewards or something that let me like move all over the place, but that's too complex right now. Right now we're just going to pick my first shelf and my first book and we're going to go from there. Okay, so I'm not sure this is the best angle for me to do this, but here we are now. So I need to do 2 things. I will need to generate a random number between 1 and 10 because I have 10 TBR shelves. We have number 1 here, 2, 3, excluding my non-fiction shelf, which I've hopefully already explained that I'm not going to be including right now, 4, 5, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which you can't see over there. I'll just have to move you if and when I need to. So let's generate a number between 1 and 10 to see which shelf I'm going to be picking from. Shelf 4. Okay, 3, 4. This one. Okay, that's nice and easy. I cannot believe that's happened. Okay, go me. I'm just going to readjust you a little bit while we generate the exact book so that you can see the entire shelf. You don't really need to see me. You're only interested in the books. So I think I have 20 or so books here, but I should count them first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, perfect. So yeah, I've got 20 exactly. We're obviously not touching the books at the back. That would just be madness. So we're only going with this front row. I don't think there are any here that I don't particularly want to read. These 2 here are sequels and I haven't read the first book yet. So if those come up, I might have to find the first book wherever that has gone. Same for this one actually, Winterkeep. Oh, and Shadow and Flame as well. So if those come up, we'll need to rethink this, but maybe we'll be okay. Let's generate 20. 16. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16. The Ring and the Crown. Okay, so this is my first book for this reading challenge. I'm just figuring out where to put my phone. I cannot remember buying this one. I'm fairly sure a friend actually bought it for me. A friend who I no longer am friends with, not for any reason, I just don't talk to her anymore. So when did this come out even? It must have been years ago. 2014, so it's over 11 years old. I have no idea what this is about, so I'm just gonna have to read the synopsis. It says here that magic is power and power is magic. Once they were inseparable, just two little girls playing games in a mighty castle. Now Princess Marie Victoria, heir to the mightiest empire in the world, and Elwyn Murden, a bastard mage, face vastly different futures. Okay, so it's set in the real world because it mentions France and Britain and stuff, but it has some magical elements. I don't really need to know much else about it. I think this is going to be quite a fast read because it's an old school YA book, so it's just under 400 pages. Shouldn't take me long at all. I'm actually really pleased this has come up because I probably wouldn't have picked it anytime soon, to be honest, if it hadn't come up. And then, yeah, I think I'm gonna have a think about which direction I want to go for this shelf. Let's pull you just back over here for a second. So this is where The Ring and the Crown came from. Let's put this here for visibility purposes. So according to my own rules, I can either go right and read The Old Drift, or I can go left and read All Our Hidden Gifts. Once I commit to a direction, I cannot change it. Honestly, right now, I've got no idea which way I want to go. These ones are very chunky. But I am very excited to read The Jasmine Throne, so if I read The Old Drift, I can get to The Jasmine Throne. But then these ones over to the left are shorter, and I am excited about a few of these, particularly One Dark Window. I think what I'm going to do is I will read The Ring and the Crown first, because I have to read that anyway, I've generated the number, and then I'm going to see what I'm feeling like in the moment, and then I'll let you know which direction I decide to go in. This is interesting. This is a really interesting first video, I think, because most of these are books that I wouldn't reach for immediately, but they are ones that I have like mild interest in. Well, not even mild. I am interested in reading, just not necessarily right now. So I'm very excited to get going with this video. I will check in a bit once I've started The Ring and the Crown and tell you if I've got any more further thoughts on the direction I'm going to be reading. Okay, so I have started reading The Ring and the Crown, and I know a little bit more about it now, so I can give you an update, or a summary rather, and I can also tell you what I'm thinking so far. In terms of the plot and the world building, so this is a YA fantasy book. It's set in the real world, a world in which Britain and France combined their royal families, and so it became the Franco-British Empire in the 1400s. And obviously, based on real history, both empires were enormous. So together they are even bigger. They're a really big deal, put it mildly. And this is set in the early or mid 19th century. And the royal families, as I said, are now French and British. They have kind of struck a deal with the Prussian royal family, and the heir to the Franco-British throne is going to be married off to the Prussian prince, who is called Leo, to kind of like make amends. It's all like royal politics and stuff. On top of this, there is also an American main character who is kind of like a rising socialite who also wants to be involved in this whole thing, and she wants to get in with the royal families. So she is very ambitious. Her name is Ronan. And there is also another main character who is from the previous French royal family who has been displaced, and she was kind of getting in with this Leo guy, but he's kind of casting her aside for the British, Franco-British princess. So this is everything that I've learned in the last 5 chapters, and I have to say I'm not loving this book. So a couple of things. First of all, I made the mistake of googling this book before I started it because I wanted to know if it was a long series or a duology or trilogy, and it turns out that the second book has never been published. It was released as a draft, but the author never published it. I don't know if that's because sales for this book weren't good. The rating for this book is only 3.43 on Goodreads, so maybe the reception of this book wasn't great, but that's really disappointing to me because that means that the story probably doesn't wrap up very well. So that's made me go into this not really, I don't know, I just feel like my opinion of it is kind of tainted because I'm not going to get invested in this series. That's quite disappointing because I was looking forward to this. Also, the first 5 chapters are each told from a different point of view, and there seem to be 5 main characters. This book isn't very long. It's just under 400 pages, and with 5 points of view so far. I don't know how much I'm going to like that because it's very jumpy. I was looking forward to getting in with what I thought would be the 2 main characters, Elwyn and the Princess Marie, but that is unfortunately not the case. I have now jumped to America, I've jumped to France, jumped to Prussia, so it's not going great, I have to say. I'm 60 pages in. I'm going to give it a few more chapters so I can give everyone like a second chapter each maybe. I don't know. It looks like around page 150-ish. There's a new part of the book. If you can see that, it says the London season, which I guess is when everyone's going to come together and there's going to be like a lot of courting and stuff. So I'm going to give it to there and see if I like it or I want to continue. But really the fact that I'm struggling with the points of view, or the amount of points of view, and also the fact that this series is unfinished, I'm not feeling too keen to continue with it, but I'm going to give it my best shot because I am interested in the politics of it all, if the author pulls it off, because I do really enjoy reading about court politics if they're written well. So we'll see. I'm going to carry on with this now. I'll get back to you later on once I've made a decision. I'm back. I'm in the same spot because I just basically skim read. Oh, everything's gone dark. 1 second. I basically just ended up skim reading the rest of this book after page 150. I didn't like it. I am glad that I didn't spend too much time on it after having skim read the ending. I don't really see the point of this book. I think it was entirely rushed. The characters didn't have as many emotions or developed characteristics as I was hoping they would have. I also have some questions about the history element in this as well. I feel like you're a bit wonky, but I can't bother to fix the camera or just pretend it's a cool angle. The history elements, some of it didn't make sense. The fact that the US was still USing in this after France and Britain became a bigger empire doesn't make sense. I don't know loads about US history and the American Revolution, but I have seen Hamilton and I know that France was quite important in that. So yeah, this could have been a lot better and it's a real disappointing book to start this video with, but that does mean that I get to go back to my shelf and pick my next book, which I think is exciting. So I'm actually quite thrilled about that. Getting this out the way first was maybe the best I could have hoped for, because I was never going to enjoy this and I've been putting off picking up for obviously 11 years. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend this. I don't know what the author was trying to do with the sequel. I'm actually going to look it up now because I want to know where the sequel could possibly go, because I really don't know what she could have been planning based on the ending of this one. Of course, there's probably stuff that I missed since I did skim read it, but you know, I don't think there was much substance in this anyway. Skimming was not a problem. So I'm just going to take a quick break and then I'll take you over to my shelf and we will pick the next book, decide which direction of the bookshelf to go in. Okay, so I've taken my break. We are ready to choose the next book of the video. I'm sorry, I'll stop like throwing you around so wildly. I'm just using a new tripod and I'm just getting used to it. It's quite decent so far, to be fair. It's just my arm can't cope. So we are back on this shelf here. For visibility purposes, I've plonked the Ring and the Crown in sideways as I did earlier because it's going to be easier for me to show you where it was and where we could be reading, which direction we're going in. This is what we're looking at. There's no point in showing you everything down there because I'm not going to read that many books in this video. If I go to the right, I will read The Old Drift and The Jasmine Throne, and then I will reach 2 books that I haven't read the first book of yet. To be honest, in this vlog, I don't know if I could read 2 or more chunky books. The Jasmine Throne is quite large and The Old Drift, I don't know what kind of style that's going to be. So I reckon I could probably fit in these 2 in this vlog and then call it a day rather than having to worry about finding the first book in this series and then jumping about from this shelf to a different shelf. I would just read these 2. Or I could go to the left and I could read All Our Hidden Gifts. I think I got this from NetGalley and it got archived before I could read it or download it, or they only had it available in like a weird format. And then I bought it at the charity shop because why not? So this, what is this even about? Something about tarot maybe? Is this YA? I can't tell. So I've got this one. I'm kind of actually intrigued by it because I can't really remember much about it, but I love the cover. Let's plan ahead, I think. So if I choose that one, I would get to Shadow and Flame. I've not read the first book. I don't know exactly where the first book is, so I would skip it and move to One Dark Window, which I'm actually quite tempted by. That's why I'm lingering here. I actually do quite want to read One Dark Window. And then I'd move along to these other books, which are shorter than these ones. What's The Old Drift about? I clearly got this at the charity shop as well. Okay, so it's set in Africa in 1904. It's about 3 Zambian families as they collide and converge over the course of a century. Okay, it's like generational kind of fiction. It does look quite dense, doesn't it? Okay, no, I could, but I'm going to put it off just because I don't know, they're just too chunky for me. So my next book is going to be All Our Hidden Gifts. and we are officially going left on the bookshelf. So let's see how far I can get before the vlog ends. So I've just woken up from a nap, but I have just read 60 pages of All Our Hidden Gifts, and I didn't realise this was YA, at least when I requested it from NetGalley, because I try not to request too many YA books anymore because I don't always love them. I feel like I'm kind of like outgrowing the YA category for the most part, but I am enjoying this so far. So this is about a woman called, or a girl called Maeve, who lives in Ireland, and she goes to a really fancy private school, and she's not very scholarly. She's really struggling at school, particularly with her Italian lessons, and she throws a shoe at the board, not at her teacher, but she obviously gets detention because this isn't an okay thing for her to do, and she is told that she needs to go and clear out the cupboard in the basement, and there she finds a deck of tarot cards, and she finds that she's actually got a real affinity for interpreting the cards. She's not very good, as I said, at school or anything, but after some studying she is... What are you doing? My dog just came running up here. Hello. Hello, what's wrong? Why do you have dust all over your face? But after some studying, she does retain the information, and she is quite quick to learn how to read them. So as I said, I'm about 64 pages into this, and I don't really know what the plot is or where it's going. I think I've just hit the point that it's talking about at the back of the book, which I should have read first, where it says that after she reads for her ex-best friend, whose name is Lily, Lily doesn't show up at school the next day. And so I think there's probably going to be a bit of a mystery there, and we're going to see how reading the cards has impacted Lily or had an effect on her, or if maybe Maeve has found out something that she shouldn't have by reading the cards. So this is the first book in a trilogy. As of right now, I'm not loving it. I'm going to try to recap it for recap tins if I enjoy it enough. I'm kind of feeling middle of the road about this right now, but I'm looking forward to getting into like the meat of the story, I think, because it definitely has potential. So I'm going to carry on reading this now. I'm probably going to have another nap, to be honest, because I am quite tired. It's been a really long day today, actually, even though I only had a half day at work, but I'm going to carry on reading and then I will get back to you. So I finished All Our Hidden Gifts. I finished it just now, and it kind of petered out towards the end. As I said in the last clip, I think I said anyway, I got to the point where the main character's ex-best friend goes missing, which is what the synopsis talks about. After that, the book really started to drag. We didn't really get much about the main character's like hidden gifts, so to speak. About the tarot cards, it was mainly about her relationship with the missing girl's sibling, Ro, and an exploration of Maeve's feelings towards them. And Ro as well was talking about how they have recently, or have been, figuring out that they are non-binary and how that affects relationships with other people. Also, obviously, their feelings surrounding that as well. So Maeve has been kind of navigating that and learning a bit more about how it is to be genderqueer, and also fancying a non-binary genderqueer person. That was a big part of the rest of the book, and I was expecting a bit more mystery. I was also expecting a bit more investigation into the cult that was mentioned, and into the Irish politics, or the politics in Ireland, and the relationship between the church and how religion affects the LGBTQ community. Don't get me wrong, it was there, but I feel like it was very much overshadowed with, or by, Maeve's, you know, day-to-day school life and also day-to-day relationship. So this is definitely leaning more towards the contemporary side rather than paranormal or any kind of fantasy. Towards the end we do get a bit more of that, but I would say this is a contemporary book for the most part. So I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I didn't dislike it at all. It's just, I thought it was average, and to be honest, I'm not going to remember much about it going forwards. But I think it's probably a good book for younger readers, for teens to read, and it's always interesting to read a book set in Ireland as well, because I don't really read many of those. To be honest, it's not my favourite setting, I have noticed. I have yet to absolutely love a book that's set in Ireland, so if you have any recommendations, let me know. But that means that I'm on to book 3. We're still carrying along on the bookshelf. I was just checking in the viewfinder to make sure that you could see what's coming up next. No, actually, I'll obviously show you the book first, and then I'm going to go for a walk, and then I'm going to start the book later on, I think. So maybe let's try and just roll you forwards. That might be the easiest way. I'm just going to be here. So this is going back in here just as like a placeholder. We're creating a really nice gap here for a good fantasy book, I think. So obviously we're moving in this direction to the left. I've said before that this Shadow and Flame book is the second book in this series, and first of all, I don't know where the first one is. It's somewhere in my fantasy shelves, but also, sorry, I'm gonna pop up because I don't want you staring just at my forehead. So it's the second book in a duology. I first of all don't know where the first book in the series is on my shelf, but also I haven't figured out how to navigate books in a series that come up yet because not all of my books in a series are together on my shelf. Let me know what you think I should do in this scenario. I could just simply replace a book in a series with the first book or whichever book I'm on and then carry it along the shelf as planned. Or what I could do is jump to wherever the book in the series is, so wherever the first book is in this case, and then switch shelves. I could go to wherever that book is and read along to the left from there instead, but I haven't decided yet, so I'm just going to skip this book for now, and that means that my next book is One Dark Window. So I don't actually know loads about this book. I know that it's really big on TikTok. It was one of the first books to blow up on TikTok. It's the first book in a duology. I think this is about a woman who has like a monster in her head or something, or can see a monster. It says here that the main character is called Elspeth and she needs a monster. She calls him the Nightmare, and he's a spirit that's trapped in her head and keeps her secrets. I don't know why everyone loves this one. All I have heard is glowing things about it, but it's more people seem to lack details when they talk about it, so I've not really heard anyone say or go into much detail about why they love it or what the themes are. If there's like a romance, is this even a romantasy? I do not know. I honestly know nothing other than it's a really good book, and I don't know if that's because people want or think it's better to go in not knowing anything, or if it's just because it's kind of a book that you read for the vibes rather than any themes or anything in particular. So I'm gonna go and have a walk, a nice long walk, and then when I get back I need to shower, get ready for tomorrow, and then I can sit down and read this evening after dinner, I think. So I'm currently just out for a walk with Saxon. I don't know if this mic is working, but I thought that now would be a really good time to update you on One Dark Window, because before I went on the walk I decided to get to page 100 and then I can carry on reading later on when I get back, and it was only fair to him that I took him for a walk in the middle of the book, otherwise I'm not going to move for the rest of the day. As I said, I got to page 100 and I am loving this book. I'm still a little bit confused about the world building, to be honest. I feel like this is one of those ones that reveals more and more as you go along, and so in the beginning of the book there was probably 3 chapters of not info dumping but intense world building, where the author was talking about the history of the kingdom, the cards, the spirit of the woods and stuff. So I had to pay a lot of attention. Thankfully, I'm more into the plots and things now, so I can tell you a little bit about what the book is about. So it follows a character called Elspeth who, when she was younger, she caught an infection from being in the mist. The mist is really thick, it surrounds the town, and so that means that this kingdom or town, whatever it is cut off from the rest of the kingdoms. So they're all very isolated. So she caught this illness, and normally when people catch an illness, they are killed afterwards because they start to show signs of magic. Elspeth showed no signs, so her family kept her safe, but actually she started hearing a voice in her head called the Nightmare, and that's because she looked at the Nightmare card and kind of absorbed him or something into her head, and now she talks to him, he can talk to her and give her like really cryptic advice. So that's entertaining. The Nightmare is very fun. Also relevant to the plot are these cards. As I mentioned before, she looked at the Nightmare card. There are 12 types of cards. Back in the day, the law is that the king met with the spirit of the woods, took her magic and put them into cards, and the spirit of the woods didn't like this, so she surrounded everything in mist. And over the years, each generation of the royal family has tried to get these cards back, collect them back together, because actually the kings had been distributing the cards and giving them to like their favourite people, because the cards give special powers based on what type of card they are. I'm not too clear on what each card does. The author has explained it to me, but I can't remember because there are so many. And there are also side effects of the cards, and the main character isn't feeling any side effects, so that's very unusual. So she's not really sure what's going on. And so I've just gotten to the part where she goes to the castle for the equinox, which is, I think, like a yearly thing. She doesn't normally go, but she's decided to go this year, and she's just had a run-in with one of the king's nephews, and things are kicking off from there. I am very much enjoying it. I feel like the writing style of this one is gripping, really entertaining. It's a really good mixture of descriptive plus action-packed plus witty dialogue, and so I'm really excited to get home and carry on with it. I do need to hurry up and walk Saxon because we've walked, I think, about 3k so far, and he's used to walking at least 5, so I need to get a move on because he's currently staring at me wondering why I'm sat on this bench, because I don't normally do so. But I will, I think, update you a bit later when I have a few more thoughts, and then I'm probably just going to finish the book, to be honest, because I am very much enjoying it. This mic is just, it's not working. I don't know why it's not connecting. So I'm sorry in advance about the audio. I'll put subtitles in or something if it's awful when I get home. So I finished One Dark Window last night and I absolutely loved it. Excuse the state of me, it's quite early on a Sunday morning. I say early, I woke up at like 9:30, but that's really late for me, so it feels really early because now my like eyes are swollen. I'm just not prepared, but I did have to come out because I need to get the sequel to One Dark Window, and I also think I'm going to buy The Night and the Moth at the same time because I absolutely loved One Dark Window. So I think I'm going to give it 4.5 stars. I think the characters read a little young for me, especially compared to how I was expecting them to read with this being an adult book. This felt a lot like a YA book, I think. There were irritating moments or frustrating moments where they... sorry, there's a car trying to park next to me. It's not going great. So there's like a crew in this book, essentially, without giving away anything. And they would discuss their secret plans in hallways and corridors in public, and there were moments where some characters were like, guys, we can't talk about this right now, but it wasn't anything to do with like the secret plans. It was more like fake relationship stuff, and it really frustrated me. It happened quite a few times and I was like, you guys are gonna get caught, this is so unsubtle. How does the king not know you've been doing this all these years? Like, if I were the king or the queen, I would have sussed them out immediately. I also think we probably could have seen a bit more of the royal family, and that would have really helped raise the stakes and help us understand how the royals work and what it is we're working against. I don't know if the author was trying to make the King Rowan, be like sort of a mythic figure and not have him show up properly until the sequel. Maybe he was meant to be like really mysterious, and because we're not meant to like King Rowan, we only really saw him from afar, so maybe it was like a technique. But I think because the main character Elspeth did spend a little bit of time, like not in court but like around the royal family, I think we probably should have seen a bit of an insight into them. Just maybe one more big scene where the king fills us with dread and we like really don't like him. I absolutely loved Elspeth's relationship with the nightmare. That was really good, really well developed, and it also progressed throughout the book, and it felt like a real relationship. To be honest, I wouldn't say I shipped it exactly. He was more of a like weird fatherly figure, but I could get on board, like I could be persuaded. I liked her relationship with Raven. I still can't get over his name, but I did like it. It was really sweet, and I liked the Raven was so understanding about things. It was really nice, and yeah, I really enjoyed the build up and the ending, especially where things were found out. And one line in particular, I'm not gonna spoil it because it was like an epic line, but that's like one of my lines, if you know what I mean. Like the line and delivery was like one of my moments that I absolutely love in books. So yeah, really enjoyed it. I'm just waiting for the shops to open now. I've got this parking space all day technically because you only pay a small fee on a Sunday, but the shops don't open for another 15 minutes, so I was just too keen to get here. I think Boots is actually open, so I need to go there and get a few things, and then maybe on my way to Waterstones I can stop in the works as well. That's the plan. So I think, yeah, I'm gonna go now. I'll update you later. So I apologise for the state of me. I've just been for a dog walk and the weather has taken a turn. It's very wet out there, isn't it, Saxon? So I'm just about to take a BATH. I can't say the word because he will come and harass me. But I was debating whether to end... Hi, Saxon. Hello. I was debating whether to end the vlog after One Dark Window because I loved it so much. I did go and pick up some books yesterday, including... Was it yesterday? Day before. 2 Twisted Crowns, but this isn't going to be part of this vlog. I'm going to be reading that separately. But I was thinking that because One Dark Window ended so well and I loved it, I was thinking about ending the vlog here. But I think I'm actually going to carry on because I have a book on here on my shelf that I have been avoiding for years. I have moved it 2 times during my house moves, and yeah, I feel like I should pick it up, and that is the whole point of this challenge or project that I'm doing. I'm meant to be picking up books that I've been avoiding, and that's what this challenge is for. So if I show you here, I've plonked One Dark Window back in here for now, just to show where I am, and then next along the line is a book called Sweet Black Waves. So this I was sent because I think I won it in a giveaway on Twitter back when it was Twitter. I think I must have got this in like 2019. It's signed, personalised to me, and I've been carrying it around because the author was kind enough to host a giveaway during one of the Yalks, I think. One of the Yalks, I need to enunciate properly. I feel like I should try to read it. So I'm going to give this a go while I take a BATH and just kind of relax. And then if I don't get on with it, I am going to read Godblind because that's next on the list or on the shelf. So I'm going to take both with me and we're going to see how I do. I am going to give Sweet Black Waves a fair shot, but I'm not convinced I'm going to love it. I think it's the cover, to be honest. It's the girl in the dress facing away cover that was very prevalent during the late noughties, early 2010s when I first started booktubing. That made this book feel quite old school to me. So I'm not actually sure what it's about. Is it like a mermaid story? It says that it's about two opposing and proud kingdoms standing on opposite shores. There's only a bloody history between them. Best friend, lady in waiting. It sounds like it's sort of British Isles inspired. The main character is called Bramwin and it's about forbidden romance. And then if that doesn't go well, I'm going to move on to Godblind, and one of these will be the last book of the video, maybe both of them, depending on how it goes. I picked this one up a few years ago in a charity shop, or maybe last year. I don't know, time is like merging together. So this is about neighbouring kingdoms who are holding an uneasy truce. There are vigilantes known as the Wolves who protect their kin. The king has lost his wife, he is grieving. That's obviously quite terrible for him. And then there's something about a dark lady high priestess. So warrior king, high priestess. It says it's for fans of Joe Abercrombie and George R. R. Martin, and there are a bunch of like red gods and stuff. So I think I could enjoy this. This is obviously more of an epic fantasy story than anything I've been reading so far in this vlog. I was just confirming that was correct. It is correct. So yeah, I'm going to take those to have a BATH with me, and then I'll update you on how it goes, obviously. Yeah, I'm definitely going to continue this vlog for these two books, just because I feel like even though I could end on a high, and I kind of want to, I want to make the most of this challenge and really push myself to read books that I'm not too keen on, because if I don't move on to Sweet Black Waves, I'm just going to ignore it until it probably comes up in another one of these vlogs, so I might as well carry on with it now. So I'm going to go wash, make myself more presentable, and read these two books. Okay, so I have finished my last book for this reading vlog, and I'm going to do a summary when I get home because I'm currently in the work car park. I just wanted to update you and say that by finish I mean DNF'd. I did not finish my last book. So I started reading Godblind, and it took me a while to get into it, into the first chapter even. I had started it a couple of times and put it back down, and I just thought maybe I was in a reading slump. I gave it another chance just last night, and I still couldn't get into the physical book. The first chapter was a struggle for me. So then I put it on my Kobo because I've just gotten a Kobo, and I thought, oh, that's going to be really exciting. It's going to sort of revive my love for reading. And the problem was the book. The problem was not me. The book, Godblind, starts off with a attempted sexual assault, rape, let's just call it what it is. One of them, who I think is going to be one of the main characters, is almost assaulted, and that in and of itself wouldn't normally put me off. The fact that it was in the first chapter got to me. Alarm bells started ringing, and something just gave me the sense that the author maybe wouldn't handle that kind of stuff well later on, and maybe it was there for shock value. I don't know. I carried on reading. I read another 6 chapters, and they were all told from different points of view, and I don't mind multiple points of view, but if there are 7 characters introduced in the first like 40 pages, each with their own chapter, that's too much. I cannot handle that. That's too much jumping around for me. I'm struggling to get situated. I don't know what's going on. About 40-50 pages in, that's where I decided to DNF, and that's a shame. I thought I would enjoy this book, but I just couldn't do it. And then I looked up some Goodreads reviews, and they mentioned that there are a couple of other essay scenes in there, and again it felt like the author didn't handle them very respectfully. So I have given up on Godblind, and that's a shame because I wanted this video to end on a high, but it will when I talk about my wrap up, because I'm going to talk about my favourite reads of the vlog. So I will do that after work, or maybe tomorrow, depends what time I get home from the office. So this is how much space I have cleared out on my shelves, and obviously these are the books that I have read or DNF'd for this video. And that's what the shelf is looking like now, guys. I think that's quite impressive. I've got so much space, and I'm about to fill it immediately. Okay, so what's going back in here? I'm gonna just shove those over. I've got A Song of Legends Lost, which I hauled recently. I've got The Knight and the Moth, which again, hauled recently, which is why it's not already on the shelf. And then I've got The Priory of the Orange Tree, which can go in there. And there's still like a little bit of space. I could fit something else in. I don't think I've got any other fantasy. Oh no, that's a lie. I've got fantasy hidden behind these books. I'm just trying to see if I can like shove it. I reckon I can. Can we fit this one in? Oh, I think it's too tight of a squeeze. Okay, I can't fit that in. But Paranesi is only small, so that can go in there, ready for next time. Fantastic. Overall, I would say that this was a pretty successful reading challenge. I had so much fun with it. I definitely feel like I achieved my goal, which was to try to read books, try to force myself to read books that I just wasn't getting to. It's a shame I had so many low ratings or DNFs in this video, but I feel like that's what this video series is going to try to combat, is leaving books sat on my TBR for years and years so that I lose interest in them or I kind of outgrow what they are trying to do. So just a quick recap in case you are jumping right to the end of this video, or in case 34 minutes is just way too much for your attention span. I started off the vlog by DNFing The Ring and the Crown. Didn't enjoy that one at all, and I couldn't get past page 100. I did end up skim reading it, but honestly now a month or so has passed and I can't remember anything about it. I then read All Our Hidden Gifts, which is a paranormal contemporary kind of book. I gave that one 3 stars. I think younger readers would definitely enjoy it, but it just wasn't for me. I then read One Dark Window, and that was the hit of the reading vlog. That was very, very good. I gave that one 4.5 stars, and then immediately read the sequel. I've also since made several of my friends read it and they've all really enjoyed it as well. I then DNF'd Sweet Black Waves. I think I only read about 40 pages of that. Annoyingly, I've just noticed that I've lost the footage where I spoke about it and I moved on to Godblind, but I read about 40 pages or so and I just couldn't get into it. I wasn't really interested, so I put it down and I donated it. And then I tried to read Godblind and got completely put off, as you would have seen in that last clip, so I DNF'd that one as well. So overall, not the most successful reading vlog, but again, I'm accomplishing what I'm setting out to do, I think. I had a lot of fun with this challenge, and following the Ribsat method was a game changer for me. I had a really, really good time, and it just reminded me of how much I missed that challenge and that readathon. I used to enjoy taking part every single year, so I'm really glad that I can bring it back in some shape or form, even though it's not necessarily the original. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any ideas on rules for this challenge or ways I could expand upon it, then let me know in the comments down below. I enjoyed this challenge so much that I am literally just about to generate my next number and I am so excited. Let's go.